How's it going, guys? I'm Robert from Machado Visuals, and here's a breakdown on another commercial we shot for one of Area 15's Halloween events. If you didn't catch my last video with Area 15, they're basically an event venue that offers all kinds of different experiences like art installations and group activities. The event is called Odysseum, and it's pirate themed, so we were using all your typical pirate references like sirens, gypsies, and treasures. Our location was at the distillery next door, which is also a part of Area 15 and is another venue that offers immersive shows where guests can wander through a maze of stages and sets, which is good news for us since most of our production design is basically already done and all we need to do is augment what's already there. So before I get into it, here's what we came up with. Our first setup of the day was this pirate look with Noel, and we planned to have him sit on a barrel in the middle of the fermentation room. We started by setting up a light mat 4 tucked against the wall so that we could easily hide it behind some of the room architecture, and also threw up a 600C and Orion 300 as a rim to emulate moonlight and to also give the background a little bit of texture since the room had a lot of natural cookies to help shape the light. As I was adjusting some of the backlights, I was walking around and noticed the set from the opposite side of the room, and I instantly froze. Oh, dang. It's almost cooler.
From this direction?
The scene looked way better from the reverse angle, so I called over the director and my gaffer to kind of confirm my suspicions and get their blessing to flip the world and just leave the lights as they were.
Yeah, those look better, actually, like the fermentation things. Okay, flip it.
The cookies are playing a lot more, and then
with the contrast too, and then
we actually have light in the background. Yeah. This.
I say flip it and leave everything as is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of dig it. This might be the best visual example of why it's important to look at things from a different perspective because it can really just offer valuable insight to the bigger picture. After flipping the world, we did a little bit more refining and added these really neat pocket lights that my gaffer had. They're DMG dash lights from Roscoe and has built-in CRMX and these really neat little dome attachments, so we snuck one of those in the back to give a slight glow to the wall. We also walked in another dash as a really subtle warm fill as we approached our talent, and that also gave us a really nice circular catch light in the eye. I think using harder sources as our key was definitely the right move for this scene given the kind of gritty, creepy nature of our pirate, and I thought this scene turned out pretty well. The next scene I want to talk about is with our gypsy character in this little shack. The idea was that she would walk up, open the treasure chest, and we did the cliche opening a box with something magical inside gag, but I didn't want it to feel too on the nose, so we used 2 dash lights on the far side of the chest to give a little bit more shape to the face at a pretty moderate intensity. We kept one light in the deep incandescent range and also set up a cue that changes one of the domes to violet as our gypsy pulls out a big amethyst. Mixing the 2 colors still gave that really warm glow to the chest and coins while also giving a tiny push of color that was motivated from the crystal. For ambience, my gaffer had these really neat light socks for Astera tubes that basically turned them into tiny space lights, so we threw up a couple tubes to give the room a little bit of lift and to also give the bird cage some detail as we moved past it. One of the last things we added was a 600C coming through one of the open windows to scatter some moonlight throughout the room, and a warm backlight using another little Chauvet light that my gaffer had. We had another really simple overhead setup with our gypsy, and it was kind of a callback to Gwen Stefani and another music video Leslie did. We set up a goalpost, and I gave Hunter a spare stabilizer plate to quickly mount the camera rig onto the speed rail without having to change any of the camera rigging. For lighting, we just stacked 2 Asteras with the light socks on one side for a really soft push and a 4x solid for some negative fill.
What modes do I have that set at?
On my backside, yeah, where I'm at.
And we had one more.
The last setup I want to talk about is this really cool submarine set where we have 2 sirens sort of luring you in. This was our reference frame from our Scout, and I wanted to frame on the wider end to capture the really cool swinging chandeliers on the ceiling. That didn't leave much room for lighting, which meant we needed to rig something from above, and it had to be relatively light because we didn't want to overstress the arches because they're actually just made out of plywood. We ended up going with 2 Asteras with LCDs as an overhead key, and the set already had a little bit of ambient light spilling through the windows, which I really liked and just wanted to supplement, so I snuck inside some of the set walls and peppered in some MCs just outside the windows to help lift some of that blue ambience. Behind the scallop was a 600C on a spotlight mount to reflect a blue sheen across the aisle of seats, and one of those Chauvet point sources as a rim for the scallop itself. We wanted to do a really slow push throughout the shot, so I just took a ride on a muscle cart with the easy rig, so we had a consistent speed throughout the move. I actually exposed some of these shots at 600 EI to help with some of the candlelight, but I also just really loved bringing out some of the texture from the LF sensor. A lot of that nuance is probably just going to be lost with YouTube compression, but it has a really pleasing quality to it, and we all know how pristine these cameras can look, so it's nice being able to just sort of turn up that texture and accentuate what we already love about the Alexa. Hopefully this video was helpful in some way. These gigs are always super fun because you get to just be creative and have fun without being bogged down with overbearing clients or super cheesy content. I'm really happy with all the looks we were able to capture, and I definitely wouldn't have been able to do it without everyone on the team.
Dodge this.
If you're interested in seeing more BTS from this project, I'm posting full-length BTS videos over on Patreon, where you can see some of my process and a little bit more insight on some of the creative conversations that we have between collaborators. Congrats to this week's winner for snagging one of my Is That a Red stickers, and if you want one for yourself, just comment down below with hashtag Is That a Red. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.